All right, click the links for Odyssey, Bit Chute, join the Telegram if you've got your asbestos panties on, because some very offensive people in there, not me, or Sport Channel and Coffee, the various other links. Telegram, Odyssey, and Gab, I think, are kind of the way forward. I kind of feel like you're going to be on there eventually, whether you know it now or not, because YouTube is, God, it's so soft. It is not the YouTube. I mean, you start looking for channels, you're like, oh, I'm going to go look for these channels I was watching just a few years ago. I realized, oh, they're all gone. Like, all of them are gone. They're all on Odyssey, thank God. And the cool thing is, like, even the mainstream, like, if you like the quartering, he's on Odyssey, so you can watch it without the ads, which is kind of cool. Like, everyone's on Odyssey. And then Odyssey has the live streaming platform if you want to see, like, live streams that YouTube had, I don't know, 4 years ago. At one time, I remember Comicsgate was in peak. It's like one time we owned YouTube. It was like it wasn't a right-wing site because it's Google, but it was at least pretty impartial. And then that changed, like, in 2 years. All those channels just got nuked left and right. And like the anti-SCW type humor channels all started to get nuked. And then, you could read the writing on the wall. You start looking around, you're like, oh, they're going to be coming for Phantom Menace and Comicsgate eventually, or at least the channels are slightly, like, if you want to see what's acceptable on YouTube, if you're making videos, you just YouTube search for the content, like a title of your video would be. If you don't see any thing come up, or if it's coming up and it's all like 6 months old, then you don't make the video, because either they're going to shadow ban it or they're going to eventually nuke the channel. It's like you can read the writing on the wall on YouTube pretty well. It's herd mentality, and it keeps pushing people to the left, because if you're in this herd and you want to see what's acceptable, you look to see what is on the outer spectrum of the herd, and you realize, like, yeah, those people, those channels keep getting kicked off every month. They just disappear. And they go to Odyssey and all these other places. But so you, like, if you're on YouTube and you're, like, I don't know, these Phantom Menace Comicsgate channels, it's like you want to stay very safely in the center of the herd. The thing is, it makes content really boring. Like, just, like, they're holding back, and it's just, God, it's hard to watch, which is why I don't. I watch Odyssey or Bit Chute more now. So, the Batman, Ryan Kinel, and Twitter SJW, blue-haired weirdos. Like, first of all, Twitter doesn't have the social media footprint that people think it has. People on Twitter think Twitter is very important. Then you get off Twitter, it's like, it's not that important. Is it acceptable to wish violence on people for a movie review? This Ryan Kinel guy, he's in the Phantom Menace Geeks and Gamers circle, and at first I looked at him and I'm like, oh, what a pussy, because he gave this movie a higher review. But actually, what he did, I don't know if he did this purposely or if he's playing a game of chess. I don't know anything about the guy. I'm subscribed to him, but I don't know why he did it this way. But it was actually kind of a brilliant move, because what he did was this: he gave The Batman 2022 an 8 out of 10. I gave it a high review score. He said he liked the movie, but then that's not the important part, because people like movies or don't like movies. The important part is he dropped the red pill. He noticed the correlation between the anti-white hatred. That's the gem. That's the diamond red pill, the ruby, I guess, that he's passing out. Is that he's telling you, he's making you draw this connection between Hollywood and anti-white hatred. So you can give the movie an 8 out of 10. It doesn't matter. That's not the important part. And so, I mean, I just don't know enough about him to know if he's a master playing this game, or if he's just kind of like, not a soy boy, but someone who's just kind of not paying attention. People will inadvertently say very, very based things because they don't know the way of the world. They don't know the lay of the land. They don't know the politically correct environment they're in. So they'll let slip some very, very red-pilled things. And then all the other, like the SCWs will kind of like get their hackles up and go, what do you mean by that? Where are you going with that, Elon? That kind of thing. Like, I don't know where he's coming from, because I just don't watch enough YouTube to know if he's playing a game of chess, or if he's just kind of playing a game of checkers, and he's just saying, it was like, oh, I liked the movie. It had a lot of stuff. It had a lot of explosions, and it was dark and gritty, and the actors were good. But I noticed a lot of anti-white hatred. It's like, well, that's the important part. That's the part that, like, gets a lot of attention. And that's exactly what happened. Like, his channel got a lot of attention, and I hope it works out for him. The SGW is already saying, hey, they got to cancel his channel. It's like, well, why do you want to cancel his channel? They're sending all these reports to YouTube. They go, why do you want to get his channel canceled? What did he say? He said, well, yeah, exactly what he said. He says that the antagonists were coded to be, European characters, and the protagonists are POCs. That's what he said. It's like you can try to report his channel, but as I read the reports they're sending in, it's like he said the white people are not. It's convoluted, and it's like those reports aren't going to go anywhere. But I mean, you don't want to report people reporting a channel, because it's like his channel's got 100,000 subs. It's a job for him. He's making money doing this, and these people on Twitter think like, oh, we can just get somebody essentially fired from their gig without even a second thought, because they made a comment about a movie that we don't want, so we're going to get them fired. And it's bizarre to think about it, like you'd walk into anyone's job and say, oh, we're going to get this person fired. And not only that, they're going to be blacklisted from the entire YouTube platform. They're never able to come back. That's like sociopathic behavior. So, credit to him for pointing out the correlation between, Hollywood and anti-white hatred. Put his channel at a little bit of risk. And it also shows like the feedback on Twitter. Like that's the second important thing. It's like, yeah, I pointed out this anti-white hatred, and these SJWs, these anti-white SJWs threaten violence, because they literally threaten violence for a movie review. And then he makes a video on that. It's like, you can monetize it, but a couple years ago it would be like, monetize the hate. The YouTube environment now for Phantom Menace and Comicsgate is on very shaky grounds. So even I think all YouTube channels now are all on Odyssey, but you really want to dual live stream on Odyssey. Start moving the live stream audience over to Odyssey. Odyssey is monetized also, so you can super chat on Odyssey and get that money over there also to start making the transition. Because if you've got a big channel, it's like, it would be great if all these channels just decided like, why don't we just go to like I'm not saying leave the platform because there's too much money in it, but do like a couple of live streams a week exclusively on alt media, Odyssey, DLive, whatever other live streaming platforms there are, just to get people over there. It's like, yeah, well, all these these big Phantom Menace Comicsgate channels, it's like, just do a live stream once a week just on Odyssey, just to get people to sign up for Odyssey. Something to think about. So it's not like I forgot about this movie coming out. I mean, obviously I don't want to go sit in the theater for 2 hours, but it's that Hollywood in general is over. I mean, the past few years, especially the past 3 years, movies coming out, you realize like, oh, there haven't been any good ones. Oh, Spider-Man was awesome. No, it wasn't. And if you think it's awesome, then you're just settling for SJWism, which people like Spider-Man. It made $1 billion, and it was an SJW movie. It's like, gee, you swapped out every character but the main one. And Batman, is it going to do as well? I don't think so. People really liked it. It got high reviews. It doesn't have the same vibe as Spider-Man was like a bright, happy movie. It was stupid, and like, yes, they swapped out all the characters, but I don't think Batman is going to do as well, just because it doesn't feel accurate. It's like they were trying to make The Crow, but then they race swapped everybody, so it's like it doesn't quite, like, kids, the SJW kids are going to love it, but they're not going to love it like they loved The Crow whenever that came out like 20 years ago, which got like a weird cult following where people were buying probably back then, DVDs and VHS tapes of The Crow. It had a following where I don't think this is going to have the same following. You never know. I kind of don't see it happening. Anyway, so with Batman, it's out in the theaters. I don't think like there's any film made post 2020 that is going to be good. It's going to be woke. It's going to be, men are bad in general. But blonde men are bad in specific. Like every movie is going to be blonde men bad, and when they overuse the trope, they're just going to shave their heads, so you can't associate. That's what Birds of Prey did. If you like, I watch these movies through the They Live glasses, and you watch something like Wonder Woman 84. It's like, oh God, blonde man bad. You watch Birds of Prey, and instead of doing blonde man bad, which would have been like, you're making gangsters, like it would have been a position of making blonde gangsters, and people are like, where in the world is this true? Again, are you on Narnia? This is bizarre. Maybe in some bizarro superhero world you get blonde man bad. So what they did is they shaved the heads. It's like, oh, they're ethnically ambiguous. It's like they could be, Italian, Mediterranean, various Jew, Arab, Latin. It's like they're ambiguous, but they're vaguely fair-skinned, so we're not hitting you over the head with this trope of blonde man bad. It's like they could be like a third of the world, a big chunk of the world looks like them. It's like, but it's hard in your head to attach antagonists or protagonists to people who are just vaguely ambiguous. You want to attach them to something to make the movie anchored in your mind. So when they don't do that, you don't anchor the movie in your mind with, who's the protagonist, who are the good guys, who are the bad guys. Everyone's ambiguous. It's like, yeah, I can't focus. It's like making anthropomorphic animals or robots and like caring about them as much as you care about humans that you identify as your tribe. It's like, that's kind of the future. The future of movies is going to be that. It's going to be vaguely hard to tell who these people are. So it's not going to have a psychological connection. And then when they do point it out, it's going to be blonde-haired or red-haired, blue-eyed or green-eyed are specifically going to be the bad characters. And, in the real world, we look at this and like, even the normie is starting to notice that there's something going on with Hollywood. And, there's more to it than that. Is much, much more of the rabbit hole to be explored. But it's not an exploration you'll take on YouTube. It's kind of an Odyssey Bit Chute. Telegram, Gab type of thing. Anyway, this is, such a difficult video to make for YouTube, as a lot of the videos are made. And, I look at these things like, should I not even bother making these videos? Because there's so much more to be said that I can't say on YouTube, so I'm just talking around it. It's a challenge. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on alternative platforms.